Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Appna Chat with Naseem and Nasim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. Naseem, how are you?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm well. And how are you today? I love that scarf color. It's one of my absolute favorites.
Thank
Ferozi rang, Ferozi color.
you. That's it. That's it. My mom's favorite color, Farouzi. Yeah, alhamdulillah. Cool. So here we are again. We promise everybody will be around on a Friday. So here we are again on a Friday. And our topic today is negative cultural habits, Naseem. So yeah, it's a big one. And there's a lot of it going on about pros and cons. I know that a lot of people think culture is a good thing, and there are a lot of amazing things about culture, but there are some negativity that I think has kind of filtered through the years as well. So today we're going to talk about what's it all about, maybe how we can help it, and maybe how we can push forward through some of these barriers. So it'd be really great for me to kind of ask you what your thoughts are, Naseem, on the negative cultural habits that are about at the moment.
In terms of marriage or just generally?
Any topic.
Yeah. I mean, culture can be a wonderful thing, but I always say within the family, culture is great, but when it comes to religion, I'm not willing to compromise. Religion is first and foremost, and that is what we should be following. Yes, it's place for culture, but not when it comes to certain things in your life. There's traditions and values that our parents have done, and we've carried those on, and no doubt our children will as well, inshallah. But we have to be very, as Muslims, we have to be very strict and understand where religion has a place and where culture has a place. It's very important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree and disagree to some parts of what you're saying, Naseem, simply because there are many things that keep families together when it comes to culture, and doesn't necessarily cross over with faith. And there are some things that are definitely faith-based, and we're all on our journey. Nobody's perfect, right? So I'm sure our viewers are all different stages in the journey on the deen. Some people will be, quite far ahead, and some people might just be starting. So we're not here to diss anybody's thoughts and feelings. We're just here to say that, the Islamic principles are the faith in which we're guided by. It guides our morals and ethics, but at the same time, we should not be taking anyone's haq away. So in terms of negative cultural habits, there's so many things. Even this week, I've spoken to people have said, "Oh, can you have a chat with my parents?" Then unfortunately, I'm going to be honest. I get the mums that say, I'm looking for, a really fair-skinned daughter-in-law that's going to stay home, and she can cook lots of dishes, and she needs to be slim and tall, and all these things. So I appreciate that, a mother may want X, Y, Z, for her son. But ultimately, as a mother of a happily married son, Allah Ta'ala keep him happy always, his choice who he married, and my job is to keep my family happy and be happy with his choice. As long as she's from a good family, they're going to take care of each other, they're going to bring up the children on the deen, they're going to bring up the children with good morals and values. Really, I think as parents, we have to look at it as their life. It's not our life. And how things happened 20-30 years ago, or maybe before then, again, with culture, it's very different now. So in order for marriages to last, I really do believe that parents should be supporting their kids get through life, rather than sort of almost dictating, and Allah Ta'ala forgive me again, and it's honest to God truth, as many conversations I've seen is almost emotional blackmail, that you need to marry this girl, you don't love mum, and blah blah blah, and they'll stop eating, or they'll do some really crazy things because you're not marrying who they want you to marry. I don't know if you've come across it in your path, in your journey in life.
I have actually. Someone we were quite close to. The mom had said to her son that you must marry this person, end of. And he said, "Listen, mom, I just don't want to marry this person," and she forced that marriage. So what happened was he married her, but then he never spoke to his mom for the rest of her life. And it's so sad because it's that's your child. You do everything for your child, you love your child, you raise that child, and then we have this kind of cultural thing, and I'm the mom and what I say goes. But no, times have changed, we have to move on. It's very, very sad that parents, the children move away, they don't speak to their parents, the parents just don't want to know who their son or daughter are just because they don't marry a certain person. It's actually, you're right, it is emotional blackmail, and that there is really no place for that, unfortunately. And we're not here to judge Astaghfirullah. I would never say, because people have got lots of good stuff going on in their families. And, you know, one of the traditional things is the mother-in-laws in Pakistan, the father-in-law in Pakistan. Just one example, and they're kind of dictating what's going on in UK. I don't think there's really a place for that, because they're in a different life, different place, different culture. We have to be looking at where we are living in UK and what's happening in in the lives of our children.
Yeah, and even if you are looking for, a rich rishta match for your son and daughter, or they're looking themselves, I think it's really important to build a connection with the other side, with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, only with the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I believe I've gone from 2 kids to 4 kids, I love my son-in-law, my daughter-in-law very much, and they live their own lives. I stay out of all of their decisions. I'm not in them, and I know that as a couple, they have to make their own. Yeah, when it comes to let's get together for food, or let's to get together for family, or go for a trip, or spend time with the grandchildren, all of that, that's my domain. Everything else, generally for parents out there, what they spend, where they go, what they do, their own plans, their own wee little family of their own, and they should be allowed to build that and flourish that. And they're no longer, the minute your son or daughter gets married, they're no longer your child, and you have to. Yeah, emptiness syndrome is a real thing. You will miss them, you love them, you've cared for them from a baby, but now they're of age to get married. This is a next chapter of their life, and as a parent, rather than hold them back and make them feel guilty, I think it's very important for them to allow them to flourish and grow. And yeah, as a parent, nobody's perfect. I'll be the first one to say, definitely I'm not perfect, but I've learned what works. I've had to adjust and adapt and listen to my children, and encourage them to have conversations with their spouses when they make decisions. So look, don't make your decision on your own. Check with your husband, check with your wife, make sure everything's good with your partner, because that's the person that they have to live the rest of their life with. And I feel from the conversation I have, from the divorcees that I speak to, definitely there's a big shift from either the mother-in-law, the mom, or the dad, or siblings from either side, and they are in some families very much involved on a higher basis in someone else's marriage, effectively, even though they're your sibling or they're your child. It still isn't your marriage. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt there. Just one of the things I was going to add on top of that, because obviously in my role here as a consultant with Personal Match UK, number of people I've spoken to, when we say, what are you looking for in a partner, and they'll say, good job, blah blah blah. But one of the things that majority of young girls say is that I don't want to live with in-laws, because they've had bad experiences, they've been divorced previously, or somebody in their family, their sister has had experience with in-laws. It's caused so many problems, and that's a shame, because moving into your husband's home, that family might be great, but you, because of the past experiences you've had, or somebody very close to you has had, that's put you off. And one of the things they want to be very clear on is, I don't want to live with in-laws, and that's very sad.
Yeah, it is. And I think there's a kind of sweeping statement going on there, assuming that your husband's family or your wife's family is going to be a car crash, pardon my French, So instead of making a bond, learning about who they are, building a relationship up with them, it's a case of, before you even speak to the person, you're already dissing the family. These are your children's grandparents tomorrow, and as much as you reflect and you love your own siblings, you love your own parents, you love your own grandparents, these are your husband's parents, grandparents, siblings, which will then be an extension of one big family, and I think a lot of people forget that. And they don't even give a chance. So I do definitely encourage, when people come into my environment, and say, look, for a future partner, especially if it's a girl, you have to stay with your, if your husband's like, it'd be really nice for my parents if we stayed for 3 months, 6 months, while we find a place, and let them bond with you. I think that's a good thing. Yes, as families grow, as you have children, practically you need your own space, your kids need their own space, but I don't think it's a negative thing for families to want to get to know you. They're excited, you're a new person in the family, they want to get to know you. So I think, coupled with giving them some space, giving them their private time, they're a brand new couple, but I still think that there should be, on the weekends, dinner with your family, dinner with my family, and then making it a regular thing, or even do like lunch with your in-laws or dinner with your in-laws, and then you have Sunday for you as a couple, because obviously we know how hard everyone works nowadays as well, jobs, and you've got to go out there and work, and husbands and wife need to support each other as they work as well, and as they jointly run the home, things like that. Yeah, so going back to the cultural practice, what kind of things come up for you, Naseem, when people are going through the consultations with you?
So quite a few times I've come across, for example, people are quite besotted, I would say, with height. A person is too short, person is too tall, and we have to accept, have to understand that this comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Skin color, they're looking for a fair skin. I'm on a first call with somebody, and it's the moms, and they were saying we're looking for somebody who's slim, gory, meaning very fair skinned, a doctor only within London. These are quite restrictive kind of requirement criteria that you're looking for. And so I think we need to move away from that kind of cultural, that kind of thinking, or that this is the only thing that we're looking for. What the other things that you should really be looking for is, piety, religion, education, those kind of things as well. But I think we need to move away from, for example, the height one. This is something that's not my fault or that person's fault. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I don't think that, I certainly wouldn't be, I don't think if that was somebody talking about my daughter or me, I certainly wouldn't appreciate that. That'd be very heartbreaking, actually, that you're being penalized for something that is come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And on that note as well, on a practical level though, let's say you are a young lady, you're 5'9", 5'10", you're tall for a girl. Unfortunately, you're not going to go for a shorter guy because you're tall yourself. Do you get me? But if you're 5'3", 5'4", your husband, is 5'7", 5'8", he's still taller than you. And then, it's more about who he is, how he's going to treat you, how well you communicate with each other, how much effort and time you make to get to know each other. So there's a reasonable surrounding that would work for a couple, but I do think, regardless of, especially if they're slightly taller than you, whatever you are, if you're female, at least give that person a conversation, because you might learn from that conversation. That person might not be your husband, but you might have a good conversation, especially in our environment where everyone is screened and everyone comes from a really good background, well-educated background, family orientated, have a good level of understanding of faith. Then you're already meeting people who meets majority of your tick box, quote unquote, requirements, and then therefore at the end of that rainbow there is a pot of gold, whereas a lot of conversations people have, the rainbow is beautiful but there's no pot of gold at the end of it. So in conclusion, I think, Naseem, the kids and parents should sit together and try and find a midway work. And in parents of today, those parents out there are listening, you must have children at uni or children that have kind of just graduated, gone into work. Please do sit down with them, ask them what they're looking for. You can even point them in our direction. We're more than happy to provide help and support. And of course, if they do want to get married, we can help with that as well. But the main thing is for that person to have a conversation around what they really need. So I think the kind of pitfall is, because of this kind of negative cultural habits, people are saying, oh no, there must be this caste, or there must be this thing, or there must be this, from this part of Pakistan, which is, it's a needle in a haystack. You're living in the UK where there's only 3.3 million Muslims. It's not a whole country of 50 million Muslims. Do you get me? It's not,
So many missed opportunities, isn't there?
Many missed opportunities, and it's because the person, they think they know what they need, but actually, unfortunately, they don't know what they need. But I think today's been a really good session. I've really enjoyed bringing up our topic today, and obviously there's many more to come. So thank you, Naseem, for joining me today on Appna Chat with Naseem and Naseem, and I will see you next Friday, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Hey, Assalamu alaikum. I just wanted to say if you are enjoying the Appna chat videos and you'd like to be reminded every single Friday, please do click on the like and subscribe button. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.